I know it's a tough one, but do you think it starts from, we need to be introducing it more at med school? Do we need to be more of a public health thing? Like, what do we got to do to like get people more
Feel more
involved?
excited. I know that's such a great question. I think that so many people are trying to figure out, but I completely agree. I think it has to come from a lot of different places, right? I mean, it's so embedded in so many different ways in our healthcare system to be more reactive. And that comes down to a lot of like, at least here in the US, that comes down to like our insurance structure. It comes down to like food industry, all of those things. And then our education is, it's influenced a lot. Like we don't learn about this stuff in med school. We get very little exposure to nutrition or exercise or sleep or stress. I think there's definite efforts now to improve that, but it's really, really, medicine is very slow to change, as you
Yes.
know. So there's that aspect of it. And then there's also just in general, our kind of culture. I mean, there's so many ways, like our school systems, like this is stuff that everybody should know. It shouldn't have to be coming from the healthcare system. Like we should be learning this stuff in school as we grow up. We should be getting access to healthy food in school lunches. There's so many different ways that we should be aligning our incentives to make it easy for people to make the good, healthy choices instead of making it easy for us all to make less healthy choices just because we have, a toxic food environment and things that are maybe more convenient but aren't necessarily good for our health.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I'm keen to hear your opinion on, I'm always about like how to do things most efficiently or what will give you the biggest bang for your buck. So whether that's through what you've learned through CrossFit or through your own education, what do you think would give us the biggest bang for your buck? Whether that's fitness, whether that's sleep, whether that's nutrition, because you guys cover a lot of that on Pursuing Health on your podcast. But I'm interested to hear what your opinion is on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to pinpoint to like prioritize of those things. I always talk about nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress, and relationships. And I think they all have such a huge impact on our health. And it probably depends on the person and like where the balance of those things are for the individual. But I think two of the things that are probably most neglected would be sleep and stress. I think we tend to put so much focus on nutrition and exercise, and really if the sleep is terrible and it's not dialed in and you're not getting enough sleep, or you're constantly under incredible amounts of stress and you can't get out of that fight or flight mode, no matter what you do with your nutrition and exercise, it's going to be really hard to get out of that hole. So I think those are probably two things that are really underestimated, I think, by the general population about how big of an impact they can have on our health.
And literally it affects it all. Like I feel like, when it's recovery, acute illness, all these things, if we're in that flight or flight mode, I totally agree. Have you found, either whether it's personal or through your show or your readings, like anything that works well that you find for people in terms of managing that stress and the sleep?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, I would say this personally too, just really taking the time to make sure you have a good sleep routine and sleep environment can go a long way. So my husband and I decided, well, it was more him. He was much more proactive about it. I'll give him the credit. Like made sure that we completely blacked out all the windows in our bedroom. And that was especially helpful, like when we were in residency and on call and had to like sleep during the daytime hours, but blacking out all the windows, making sure that the bedroom is cold enough because temperature is really important from being able to get into deep sleep. And then having some sort of like, even if it doesn't have to be long, but some sort of like lying down routine at night where you're putting your phone away. Like we always keep our phones outside our bedroom or put them on airplane mode at least, half hour before we're going to bed so that we're not looking at them right before we're trying to go to bed. Maybe putting on some like more relaxing music or reading or doing some sort of wind down so that you can help your brain kind of unload and stop stop racing all those thoughts when you're trying to fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people like to do like a hot shower or sauna or something like that to help as well. But just having a really solid sleep routine, I think, can go a long way. And I noticed it. So when we had this great sleep routine, and then when we just recently moved, and so we were staying in a few different places, and different places that, you know, the sunlight would start to come in the windows in the morning or different things. And I noticed I was waking up like a lot during the night, just I think because of that light. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, it's something that I probably didn't realize how big of an impact it was having until I was in another environment. So that would be what I would say for sleep. And then for stress, I think, again, it's so hard to do, because when you're so busy and you're so stressed out, you think the last thing you have time for is to do anything relaxing, but that's probably when you need it most. For me, I try to just protect, like a lot of the times during residency, it would just be a couple minutes of breathing or meditation in the morning right after I woke up, to make sure that it was something that I always did. Or sometimes I would do it in the car, like, you know, get ready, go to work wherever you're supposed to be. And if you can get there a couple minutes early, and then just do a few minutes of meditation or breathing in the car when no one's there to bother you. Or just make and prioritizing things that are important, like going for a walk in nature, spending time with your loved ones, making sure that that time is there and you're prioritizing it every week.
Yeah, I love it. And these are what I like about what you're saying, Julie, is the fact that a lot of the stuff you're saying isn't hard. It doesn't take I mean, aside from blackout blinds, depending on who, I mean, I would argue that's an investment worth making. We do that
Yeah.
at our house too, like
Oh, and
absolutely.
we didn't get anything fancy. We literally bought, like, you know, that black poster board, like the thick poster board that you can get at the store, and we just
Yeah.
cut it and taped it over our window, so you don't have to get anything fancy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And exactly. So like a lot of these things are inexpensive, practical, and can go such a long way. Like we just finished an interview with Kirk Parsley, and one thing that I left that interview was that, one, I don't sleep enough, but two, like it really is the foundation. Like it really
Yeah,
is. Like I think when you talk recovery, when you talk about mental health, when you talk about all these things, it comes down to that. Like and and for the stress management too, like I think, you know, we're in a go environment. In some ways COVID has allowed us to slow down a bit, but
mhm,
taking that time, especially a lot of busy people, a lot of, like, I mean, us docs, like you got a stressful
mhm,
life, but it's self-care. Like
yeah,
I know I'm assuming similar to you, Julie, like when going to the gym, you like when all you're thinking about is like pushing weight or making that time or whatever, like that's the focus. You're not thinking about that paper
exactly,
or the, for us, the
yeah.
kids or whatever uh stress inducing things going on in life. So um yeah, it's a really great points actually. um
One other thing I would say too for stress that's super easy that I've implemented a lot is, have you ever heard of 478 breathing, or just some simple breathing?
yeah,
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 that's an easy
absolutely.
one that you can do throughout the day. Like I would do that,
So maybe
you know,
we
if
could
I,
explain that for our people.
yeah, yeah. So basically just 478. So you're taking 4 seconds, you're breathing in for 4 seconds, you're holding your breath in for 7 seconds, and then you breathe out on an 8 count. And you just repeat it maybe 3 or 4 times. And just that will really signal, that kind of breath pattern will signal your parasympathetic system to kick in and help to break that fight or flight cycle. So it's something you can do, like do it once or twice if you're going into an important meeting, or if you're having a stressful day in clinic and you know, before you walk in to see your next patient. It can really work wonders. I do it all the time. Or if you're having trouble falling asleep, it works great too.
It is magical. We're actually doing a show with Nestor on breathing, because it was one of
Awesome.
the best hacks I've had in life. There's probably in that top five was there's a Patrick McEwen. He has a book called Oxygen Advantage. I don't know if you've ever come across it, but it just
Okay.
tells you about the value of how improving the way you breathe can impact
Mhm.
so much things in life. Like you got those allergic kids, like that always are breathing
Yeah.
through their mouth, like like creating a setup so they're starting to breathe through
Mhm.
their nose again. You'll notice that everything health-wise will get better. Their dentition gets better. The shape of their jaw
Mm-hmm.
gets better. Their sleep gets better. And so like that slowing down your breath and just um, allowing you to have a more parasympathetic tone, that more relaxed
Mm-hmm.
tone, uh, can go an absolute long way. Whether it's sleep, whether you're stressed in the moment,